It's the Benz Brunani womanist. Baby boys, baby girls, you need to hear this. If you sit down, receive this realness. Make sure your cup's ready for the tea, we are go sip it, yo. Hard times calling for your long shorts. You might learn something you never know. Collect you fine, and she's one of a kind. Don't say you're mine, say you're mine.
Baby, think twice for the sake of our love, for the economy. There's no reason why it should be £2.50. Babe, I know it ain't easy when you voted and gained Tory ground. And while they're all the way up, now you're all the way down. Baby, this is serious. They're not thinking about you or us. Baby, don't ever vote for Tories again. Woo! Think twice before you tick that line, or you draw that line. Be sure before you vote like scum. Before you vote and ruin our lives, baby, think twice. Yo, off the top, because I was actually just going to sing her song normally. Baby, think twice for the sake of our love, for the memories. Sorry, Celine, I had to do it. You know I love you. I love you, the patron saint of Jamaica, you nuts. The patron saint of Lagos, Celine Dion. 2 slaps on your chest all day, every day. They're gonna sue me. They're gonna sue me. They're gonna sue me. So we're back. We're back again for another week. Thank you for joining me again. If you're new, welcome. It's downhill from here, baby. No, honestly, welcome. It's actually uphill from here. We're going to do all of the wonderful things. It is me, Kelechi, and the absolute most amazing place to be. You are listening to SYM, officially known as Say Your Mind, unofficially known as What? That's right, Suck Your Mum. And we're in it, and we are going to win it. What have I done in the last week? Let me just give you, because last week I really talked, but I can't even talk too much this week because I've got 2 interviews to fit into this episode. And they're getting more crisp, like crisps. They're getting more crisp, right? So I feel like you should love them as much as I do. And I can't wait for us to get into it. So this week I went to tap dancing class because, I missed last week, the week before when I went to go and see Beyonce. And I can see you girlies enjoying as well. I'm really happy for you. And then after that, let me just say, I want you to mark this down because we're going to come back to this in a few months. He has done it for me. He has done it for me. What my mother cannot do, he has done it for. What my father cannot do, he has done it for me. Although I don't refer to God as a he. Try not to anyway. But this week has been, as the French would say, a banger. A banger. Yeah, even that song that I delivered was a banger. Nah, Kelechi, you're losing it. That song was a banger. I didn't even give myself a moment because, when I say what have I got? That's right, Ranger. Where the Champs-Elysees or wherever they call it, they need to replace that with a picture of me, a statue of me, because I am the embodiment of Ranger. Yeah. Anyway, enough of gassing myself up. This week has been brilliant. I can't wait to get into the things. It's very cute. It's not like, it's just very cute. That's all I say. It's very cute. And big up all of you lot, but that do your things in your industries and that you bring me in and you let me show my talent, because fuck with me, you know I got it, So yeah, anyway, we'll come back to this. I'll tell you to wheel this back, and you will need to wheel it back because I don't remember the titles, or I don't remember the episodes where I say so many things. That's why I really, really admire Audrey. One of the reasons I really admire Audrey from The Receipts, because Audrey, if there's a conversation that they've had on the Receipts podcast, Audrey remembers which episode it was. I wouldn't be surprised if Audrey can tell you the minute and the seconds that the comment was made. I don't remember anything. A lot of things I say on this podcast, I do not remember. So it's when you lot start quoting me, I'm like, that is such a great quote. Who said that? Oh, me. So yeah, but yeah. So you'll need to wheel this up for me. But we are moving, baby girls, baby boys, baby non-binaries. It's time for our anthem. Just a baby girl in a baby world. Yeah, just a baby girl. We are just merely baby people. And we're moving on up. Move on up. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just excited, is all I'm going to say. So tap dance, I had some other cute things happen. Then I went to a dinner organised by the Open University. The girlies are really doing things at the Open University for the fact that, people can really go about learning in whichever... I'm just really opening my crotch as I'm recording this. The girlies can really go around learning or go about learning the way that they want. I was speaking to one of the people who work at the Open University, and I said, I hold the Open University in, high esteem, or in fond memories, because there was a show that there was a film that I really enjoyed called Becoming Susan. And she was like, do you mean Educating Rita? I was like, that is exactly what I meant. Not me just thinking I could switch out the names of white women. Yeah, Educating Rita. I really enjoyed that film. I remember watching it when was I in Liverpool? Was that during secondary school? Anyway, the film was really, really great. If you haven't watched Educating Rita, if you've got a chance and you just want to watch something old, I'd say watch that. I love her journey. So I've always thought of the Open University in a great way. But they were saying at the dinner that basically besides Oxbridge, the Open University produce the most people who go on to work in like really high fields, like within tech and law and this and that. So I just thought that was really, really amazing. I thought it was really amazing. So it was lovely to be invited to the dinner, and yeah, I hope to see where that goes. That was just really cute. And it was great to hear from one of the people who's currently a student there. She's wonderful. Yeah, so it was great to hear from her. And in case you're into my eyebrows, obviously you're not if you're listening to just the audio version of this, which I appreciate you for. It's so funny. Since making the video version of this, there are more people who listen to the audio. That they're watching the visuals, but it's like they're also... I love it. I love it for us. Anyway, my brows. Can you see my brows? They look cute, right? All filled in. Bianca did my eyebrows. Her tag is Bianca, Bianca X London. She doesn't know I'm going to do this, and she's super shy and super lovely. So please be gentle with her, because I know that some of you have really raw energy. Yeah, just take it easy. She's a gentle babe, You lot calm down, baby, calm down. Come down. Lockdown. Oh, lockdown. Oh, lockdown. Yeah. So Bianca, great job on the brows. So I'll definitely be back. I want Sabrina to do a thing, but Sabrina's trying it. Sabrina Nails by Zana, that I go to do my beautiful, beautiful Biab nails. I initially asked her to do my brows, and she was like, no, you should try Bianca, because Bianca does mine. And Bianca indeed is a babe. So yeah, big up yourself, Bianca. Had new headshots done. I'm just giving you a roll down or roll out. Is it an up? What do they call it? A low down, you low down, dirty whore. No, a low down of my life recently, because I feel like you'll be like, we don't know much about you. So, and notice I'm telling you the things I've done, not who I am. Yeah, I had my headshots done by full_frame_atelier. That's ATELIER. Love them both. I just love them as people. I actually know them personally. And I went to go and have my headshots done with them, and yeah, can't wait for you to see it. I want one of the photos to be my author, in my book. Kelechi, where are your words? Inside the cover of my book, I want one of these images, basically, and I can't wait for you to see them because I proper love the 30s. And then what else? Okay, so then I went to, Chishuru, the place that I love going to, the restaurant that I love going to by Boakye Bakare. It closed. It was in Brixton. It closed. And then Boakye had a pop-up at 180 Studio, on the Strand. So I went to that, and now she's got another pop-up in Borough, in Borough Market at the Globe Tavern. It's a pub, and she's upstairs. When I tell you the food did what the food needed to do. The food gave what needed to be given. And I took Lewis Harris Tench with me. And he likes to be shady with me all the time. And also, he doesn't want to he's trying to get me to get on a scooter, and I don't want to get on one of those e-scooters. So every time that I go out with him, I wear inappropriate footwear, so I can't be forced to get on the e-scooter. But I know one day he'll catch me unawares. But the food, he's vegetarian, and he said that the food spoke to him. Don't get me wrong, you lot don't have a lot of things to choose from, but what I love about Boakye is that she kind of vegetarianized. She could vegetarianize some of the things that weren't vegetarian, within reason, be fucking for real, okay? But some of the things could be vegetarianized, and it was beautiful. I obviously, you know me, I'm a baby girl, soon to start her plant-based journey. I don't want to hear a fucking word. Don't you say a fucking word. I will start when I'm ready. But anyway, the food was phenomenal. I won't tell you what I had because I know that the vegetarians and vegans will lose it when I say the things that I ate. But it was beautiful. I'm just glad that she also brought back the goat ayamache, because that is I've talked about it too many times. That is my hands down my favorite. And if you don't know, they were running a crowdfund. I think the crowdfund might be closed now because she's going to be opening another restaurant. And it's going to be in Belgravia. So the Globe Tavern, she's there from now till early July, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think till early July. If you can get down, if you can book a table, because the food is incredible. I love Boakye's food so much. I can't stress it enough. I love the woman and I love her food. I just think she's amazing vibes. So I'm just sharing what I've been doing. None of these people have asked me to do this. So I'm sure you know that by now. If I don't like something, I'm not talking about it. So just letting you know. And I went to go and watch The Lion King with Lev. When I tell you, he was over it. He was so excited initially for us to go and watch The Lion King. But I think he thought it was going to be the cartoon. So when he saw big grown people walking around with big masks on their head, he was like, I saw him look over at me but then when, I just can't wait to be king. When that came on, that was his song. That's his song. He loves that. I'm gonna be a Miley King. That's his little accent. But no, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. But he was expecting a cartoon. So I don't know, maybe for his birthday. Well, with children, they go off things so quickly. So I was thinking I can do a screening for him and his friends of Lion King and have food and bits for them, and they can sit outdoors and have a projector screen and watch it, and it'll be super cute. But knowing Lev, he'll be on to something else very soon. So I don't want to commit myself to anything. So yeah, that was great to go and see that. So thank you for the invite. I appreciate it, Lion King people. But yeah, it took him a while. He was just like, I don't see cartoons. I don't see actual lions. But no, he loved it. He loved it overall. He just loved being able to hear his songs. And Yeah, I think it was, I mean, him being 3.5, it was a lot for him as well, because it's rather long. And although they have an interval, but yeah, he wasn't all the way into that. But yeah, he left with souvenirs and yeah, had the best time. Overall, we had a great day. What else was I going to say? Oh! That's what I was going to say. I got a new tattoo. By Minx, Minkx. So Minx now has her own studio, her own tattoo studio. It's called The House of Minx. So Minkx. And let me see if I can show you, but not you lot who are listening to the audio, without dragging my headpiece off. Look at that. I'm just showing you my butter. Oh, look at that. It's a phoenix. I got a phoenix. I hope my foot wasn't dry. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. So yeah, I think that's my updates. Got my phoenix on my thigh. So now watch. Those of you that said that I like to have my chest out, my back out, my legs out, wherever you say, now I will wear no clothes. The more tattoos I get, the less clothes I wear. Hey, you girl in the tight top shorts. Look pon the gyade. Yeah, anyway. Sorry. You know me. Uncouth. Oh, I think that's it. Oh, finally, last thing. Get your freaking tickets for my live show in September. I don't know what you think you're doing, but sort it out. Sort it out. Same with, so that's the live show at the Barbican. Some announcements to be made soon. And also the pre-order of the book. You think I'm joking with you? I will hold this podcast to ransom. You must know by now that I have a propensity to move mad. I will lock off this podcast until I see the desired pre-order sales or pre-order whatever numbers for my book. Because what are we doing? I mean, I really understand Cosy lives, but let's all be serious with ourselves. And I'm not talking to you lot who live in America, because I know that your whole thing is slightly different still. But the rest of you, after all my life I had to fight, let me see those numbers go higher, 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 baby girl, higher, 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 higher. Higher, baby girl, lower. No, higher. Because otherwise, this podcast will go lower, 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 lower. Let's not play with each other, because you know that between the two of us, you that's listening right now, and me, let's think about who's more mad. Like, let's really deep it. Who's more mad in this situation? I will hold this podcast to ransom. Let's not play any games. Pre-order Edge of Here and get, if you live in this UK, especially in the southeast of England, I don't want to hear no stories. Sort it out. Because if I see one single message about collecting the episode wasn't on this week, I was showing off someone. I'll ask you, send me a screenshot. Send me a screenshot of both things that I've asked for. Then you can ask me where the podcast episode is, because I don't know how you think all of this is running. Am I running this podcast on Gary and Suya? Is that what I'm doing? Is it because if you don't let me start in this place. Let's all know ourselves and let's all respect ourselves, okay? Anyway, that's enough threats. Let's move on. To this week's tarot question, which comes from a baby person, a baby girl. It says here, tarot reading, please. Pregnant and screwed. Dearest Kelechi, I hope this email finds you well. As ever, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for sharing your integrity with us. Being led by a government that teeth like they haven't teethed before, I appreciate the consistency of your content, both on your own podcasts, on others, or through your socials, where you generously share with us and lead by example on what living in your truth looks like, I imagine. It's so refreshing hearing someone be authentically themselves. With every listen, I feel comfortable sharing my authentic truth too. Apologies for the grammar in this email, as things are still feeling fresh, but my spirit called me to brain dump my thoughts in as true a fashion as I can and send them to you. Whilst on a work trip, I just found out I'm pregnant, far from home and feeling alone. I took 3 pregnancy tests just to make sure, and as the popular meme goes, the woman was too stunned to speak. I informed the father of my child of my truth. For reference, we are not together. In summary, I told him this situation is not ideal and I'd rather do it without you. This isn't something I ever thought I would say growing up, with the idea that 2 parents are best. However, I'm not naive about the negative impact of 2 parents in a home is not always the healthiest solution. The healthiest situation, especially if they have not worked through their shit and the impact spills over negatively onto their children. I owe it to my child to show up for myself and lead by example. I'm sure they would much prefer, short or long term, to be raised by a mother who forever chose peace and joy. And this man would not bring me either of those things. He said he was hurt, I think that's meant to say, by my comments, and yet said, and I quote, "If this is what you've decided, then ... great ... That was a week ago. About a week ago. Sorry. And I haven't heard from him since. As I mentioned to my therapist, his delusion is not my problem. The reason why we broke up was due to his selfishness and lack of communication. If I wouldn't want you as a partner, why would I want to be tethered to you consciously in raising a child? No, thank you. I'm a black woman in her mid-30s, and I'm slightly concerned about the logistics of raising a child, as this cause he lives is making it real hard right now. I am, however, less worried about parenthood, as I feel God will give me what I need to raise this child to the best of my ability, with the support of my community. I've started to document my journey, as regardless, I think this is an important aspect of my life that I want to record. But more so than anything else, I'm more worried about the maternal outcomes for black women and the impact on my body and mental health. There isn't a Glassdoor website rating experience of maternity teams in this England by people of colour, although that would be a great resource. And the thought of either my body failing to cultivate a healthy home for my child, or the healthcare system not addressing my needs or concerns, that the impact results in negative outcomes for both of us. And so I would like a message from Spirit. I don't know what I need to hear, but right now I need to hear something. I'm very early into the pregnancy, and as mentioned above, I don't feel comfortable telling friends and family right now. I trust that the words will find me when I need them, but right now I could use a little helping hand through you. With gratitude and sincerity, a worried baby girl. I've included my birth chart below. Oh, I love. Oh, so yeah, you're gonna feel Jupiter. What is this? Jupiter is gonna be impacting your natal Mars, so we're gonna have all of that going on. So yeah, I guess you're gonna be feeling some of that. Your Jupiter, your natal Jupiter is in Leo though. That is gorgeous. Also, yeah, you've got a lot going on. Saturn conjunct your Sun and Uranus and Neptune. Okay. Beautiful. You're a Libra rising. I love that. Well, I think you sent me Placidus because it's showing me some weird things as well. But okay, let's get to the message. Let's see what even comes up for us here. Let me just bring this up. Switch that. Okay. Does that look cute? Yeah, I think I'll leave it as half screen. Let me just slide myself forward. Okay, still coming through on the mic. It's Jenny Francis. No, it's not. It's just me. Do I like this one? Yeah, I think I'll leave it like this so you can see more clearly. So, what is the message for you at this time? I don't know. Usually when I'm reading questions from people, I start to feel things, and I just don't feel a lot. I feel like wherever, because I can't remember the date. Let me see the date that you sent this, because I didn't look too tough. You sent this in February, so you're kind of well into the thing now, aren't you? Well into it. I'm praying that everything's going well for you. And it's interesting that you mentioned about Black maternal mortality rates, because by the time that this comes out, should everything go to plan, I would have had a brief conversation with Keir Starmer, which I'm hoping to post what we end up chatting about on socials, and then I'll kind of put the clip on here as well so it can live on the podcast as well. Because I just think that Black maternal mortality rates, I don't appreciate when, was it Boris who said to us that it's not something that they're really looking to address right now, and then they started to kind of conflate it with other demographics who are facing hardships within the healthcare system as well. And it was just like, no, we're talking about misogynoir in real time, so can we just focus, please? Can we fucking focus? So I love this for you. I feel like the message for you right now is like, don't let go, cause it's just I was going to say it's just a step from heaven, but that doesn't mean that you're going to heaven. God, let me rephrase that. When we're talking about heaven, we're talking about the things that you want, the ideal life that you want is all happening for you at this time. And maybe that's actually a song that you like. I feel from looking at where your Pluto is, and you said your age anyway. Or did you say your age? I think you hinted to your age. But either way, you're part of my generation, so you'll know that song. I'm also using a deck of cards, oracle cards created by Janelle Jupiter, called the Tower Oracle, and she's Janelle JANELLE.Jupiter on Insta. Let me see if I can show you it's such a beautiful deck. Like, you lot are coming through with your designs as well. Not all of us making oracle decks, but this, I love this so much. It's beautiful. So let's see what cards you get from one second. Just picking up the card that fell. Okay. All right, we've got your bits now. I feel like that's it. So the reason I sang the song to you is because you've got the Wheel of Fortune that comes out, which is just beautiful. The Wheel of Fortune upright speaks to good luck. Like, luck is in your favor. And I know that might feel challenging right now because it feels like you've got a lot of conflict around you. 5 of Wands here. We see dog fighting. Dog fighting. Yeah, dog fighting. We see dogs fighting. And the sentence that comes to my head is, I haven't got a dog in this fight. We shouldn't let dogs fight each other anyway. But the reason that came out is like, don't get yourself embroiled with what other kind of family drama that people have going on. Or if people are arguing around you, it's not for you to now go in like involve yourself, because it's got nothing to do with you. And then we've got the Lovers card as well. So I feel like you've either met someone or are going to meet someone, but it feels like you've met someone. And so if you've met someone and you are apprehensive about the fact that, oh, well, I'm pregnant and it's not their child unless you and this guy started working through things. But if you're like, oh, I'm pregnant and it's not their child, and like you're proper like worrying yourself about it, like, just don't. Yeah, just don't. I think that's a better view. Yeah, just don't stress yourself out about that. Like, people will take you as you are. And the next card you've got here is, am I beautiful or am I blessed? Trick question. I'm both. And that's really a word for you to remember, because I know that pregnancy, as it develops, as the stages develop, you can just start feeling a type of way. And sometimes people who are pregnant don't necessarily feel like attractive. They feel this, they feel that. You are gorgeous and you are blessed. And that's why the Wheel of Fortune came out and then the Lovers card came out. So I sang that song because it is like being in like a very serene, beautiful space that feels like heaven. It feels like, oh, this is great. And that's what I feel for you. So if you're having a challenging day, just know that that's the energy around you. But I feel like this is energy that's already playing out. But this 5 of Wands keeps dragging my eye. Just going to pull a clarifier. What is the 5 of Wands, Spirit? Like, what are you saying with this 5 of Wands? Because, you know, a baby girl's just going to freestyle if you don't tell me the thing specifically. What is the 5 of Wands? Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're getting way too involved. We've got the 10 of Wands here. You're getting way too involved in what everybody else. It feels like a family matter. Like, you're getting way too involved in other people's things. And also at the same time, don't be afraid to let people help you, because I think there's a part of you that's like, oh, I'm just going to do this by myself. And you keep getting like 5 and 10. Like you got 2 5s, 2 10s, and then 1 6. Don't ask me to do the maths. Don't ask me. 2 5s, 2 10s, 36 in it. It's 36 in it. Yeah, it's 36. What's funny though is the card that you got from the Janelle Jupiter deck, the Tower Oracle, is numbered 36. So there's that's an important number for you, I guess. And 36, I don't know when you're that age, but it's a good look for you. So keep going, because it just feels like an abundance of blessings, but keep yourself out of other people's business and stop taking paracetamol for other people's headaches. And we've got the 5 of Pentacles here. That's why I said let people help you, because there's this feeling of like, oh, I'm alone. What's that like? I'm alone and I'm doing all of this by myself. Let people help you. Let people help you, because if you see the image of this person in the 5 of Pentacles, they're crouched down and their head's bent, and then somebody's walking by them who's also in like wearing tattered clothing. So don't think that just because don't assume what people are capable of just because you've assumed, you thought, oh, well, they won't be able to help me because they've got this and that going on. You don't know. Like, just give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And then from the Janelle Jupiter's the Tower Oracle, the card you got is money is not your home. While resources are important, this next go round, focus on what fills your heart and not only what fills your pocket. And I think that's such a very, it's a timely message, because we were literally just talking about, I could take that off now. You wrote in your letter about not being worried about parenthood. Like, you're not worried about being a great parent. You're more worried about like, how does somebody do all of this? Like, how will I raise the child? Let me tell you, you'll figure it out, you'll figure it out. I haven't been as resourceful financially as ever as since the time I've had Lev. Like, you will make shit work. You will make it work. Mama, you know I love you. You know I love you, mama. Yeah, like, it really asks of you to be innovative, to be creative, but you'll do what you need to do. I have every faith in you. I'm not going to sing I believe in you, but I have every faith in you that you'll be just fine. And these cards confirm that you'll be just fine. I don't need to embellish the message or go too hard. I feel like what the message as it is for you will resonate with you. And the Lovers card coming out is beautiful for you, because everything is going to be okay. Yeah, everything is going to be just fine, and it's going to feel like heaven. Yeah. Oh, heaven. Yeah, it's going to feel great. Yeah. So I pray that resonates with you. Oh, okay. So that's the letter for tarot. Magnificence. I just want to big up the dancers at Star Garden. Star Garden is a strip club, I believe. The dancers there are the first ever to unionize. I'm just making sure I've got that correct, because I just think it's fantastic. It says here, dancers at Star Garden have won their battle to unionize and become the only union strippers in the country. That's in America. The owners have withdrawn their challenge to the union election and agreed to meet with Actors Equity to negotiate a union contract. We spoke to the dancers when they started their union campaign a year ago. It's been a long struggle against ferocious union busting, but now they've opened the door to improving conditions across the country. Big up yourselves. 2 slaps on you lot's chest, because sex work is work. Right? I do. If you're listening to this and when I said that your body kind of did something, you need to address that. You need to address that, because sex work is work. right? And the same ways that there are protections for you in your job, why don't we have protections for in that regard for sex workers? Why? Because what's interesting is it's an industry that people are very, very, very interested in, and they patronize a lot. Yet the people who are doing the work within that industry are treated like trash. And for what? Because we don't want to address our repressions and our the ways that we usurp our sexuality and our sensuality. We don't want to address that. We don't want to address misogyny, misogynoir. We don't want to address the disrespect that we show femmes and femme presenting people. Like, there's just so much outside of that, regardless of gender. Sex work is work. And so having a union makes all of the difference. And I know that there's been amazing work that's been done in the UK regarding, strippers and just dancers across the board, sex workers across the board, and the rights that they deserve. And even some of my favourite MPs have let me down the way that they talk about sex work. And we all have to look at like the spots that we are not so conversant of and are not so willing to embrace and to understand. So I love that for the dancers at Star Garden. Big up yourselves. Like, I think that, and it's what we're saying about Pluto in Aquarius. Power to the people all day, every day. Power to the people. You lot can't just keep chopping. And then the people who you're chopping off of, then they don't have anything. It's not fair. So I rate it. I rate it. And I pray that as this is happening, it means that marginalized folk who are also within the industry, they get protections as well. So yeah, my phone's proper going off. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was amazing. Anyway, now I will cut to, because you've sat with me the whole time. Mandem is being edited by Iggy London, and it has some great contributions. It's an anthology, all black men talking about their experience of black masculinity. So this is a copy that I have, but this book is now out, so you can all get into it. Some of the contributions, one of them is called Mandem United. That's the opening by Iggy London. Are You a Boakye by Jordan Stevens. We've got one by Caleb Femi. We've got Birthday Cards by Yomi Shode, and we've got Get Rich or Die Trying by Athian. Is it Akek? The Audacity of Heartbreak by Iggy London. Wish I Was a Drill Artist by Ashley Hickson Lovens. And Who Let the Dogs In by Okechukwu Nzelu. Condomless Sex by Phil Samba. King Kele by Christian Adolfo. Pellet Gun Boy by Jeffrey Boakye, and I talked to him shortly. The Pink Frame by Shokwe Shoton, and How to Build an Immigrant by Dipo Faloyin, and The Eulogy by Iggy London. So the opening says, this book is not just for the woke. This book is not just for the politically correct inner city creatives living in Shoreditch, trendiest apartments. This book is not just for the people who listen to podcasts and are well versed on speaking about the effects of gentrification and the staggering cost of living. Your chakras do not need to be aligned for you to understand this book. You don't need to have a PhD in social theory for you to relate to this book, to the book's themes. This is because this book is not just for the intellectual. It's not just for the young men and women of the snowflake generation who know what hypermasculinity is. This book is not just for black men who feel comfortable wearing fuchsia or pink or velvet. I know there are many of us. Shout out to my fellow brethren. This book is not just for my mother, who probably found it easier to shut this book than to open it, although she probably would never say it out loud. Shout out to you too. This book is not just about masculinity. It is not strictly about class, nor race, nor religion. This book is not just for the mandem. This book is and will forever be a book for the people. The book that seeks to challenge what society views is an important story to tell, and what isn't. This book is personal to everyone who reads it. And it's the lived experiences that are written down in this book that will continue to challenge and remove the tight ring that holds a lot of men and women to believe the stereotypes referenced herein. And Lord knows I have had to learn this the hard way. And Iggy London, who edits and curates this, he he shares a lot, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. So it says here at the back, told from the perspectives of some of the finest contemporary black writers and thinkers, Mandem is an ode to the moments in our past that shape us and gratitude at being able to appreciate these lessons in the present. In a beautiful blend of prose and lyricism, each essay sees its author tap into their most vulnerable place, engaging honestly in conversations often silently grappled with by black British men because of socially enforced beliefs around black masculinity. The themes in this essay collection range from the importance of male role models and the unique relationship between mother and son to the sexual pressure placed on young heterosexual men, while also asking the question, what does contemporary black queerness actually look like? So yeah, it's been edited by Iggy, and it has essays from the people that I mentioned, and it's already out. It came out in March. This is by Jacaranda Books, I think. Jacaranda Books, and you know I love the people at Jacaranda Books. So yeah, I'll let you enjoy the conversation that I have with Iggy London and Jeffrey Boakye. Trust me, there's a part where I start creasing up, and also I look cute. Well, thank you, Iggy and Jeffrey, for joining me in this convo to discuss Mandem. So I've got the proof copy here, and I was reading for everybody's contributions, and it's really amazing. You know what it made me think about? That I don't actually listen to men.
Oh, I'm so dead. She was like, I actually don't understand the stories
But
behind
Men, what are
I've,
they?
I've never listened to a man. I don't know what that thing is.
It's like they have feelings. So no.
I'm so dead. I love that.
No, this is absolutely incredible because I love the collection because we're actually, I think like what we're experiencing is the multifaceted nature of what black manhood, what black masculinity means. And I think we are literally, and I use the word intentionally, I feel like we are robbed of that in society. We're literally robbed of it. And I feel like it's intentional, but it's it's not my time to speak. So in the first instance, like Iggy, what kind of inspired this collection? And how did you go about getting like these fantastic men on board? Got Jeffrey as well. You know, like how did you go about going? You know what, almost curating and bringing everybody in to. I feel like it's a movement.
Yeah, no, 100%. For me, it was really interesting because fundamentally, it is a movement, it's a blueprint. But also, what I wanted people to understand is that a lot of men live life in silos. They live life in their own heads, and I feel like we believe and we are told, and from a very young age, that we must have a certain dogma, rules of life and religion that become us, and then we impose that onto the world. And so very often people start that dogma quite early and don't realize that we have more similarities than differences. And so what I really wanted to do is just really be able to, number one, just tie those similarities together to make us realize that we're experiencing the same thing. But then also fundamentally, as you said, like what does that look like when you tie those things together and you realize that those things shape men, which shape how men are treating women, how men treat other sort of people within society, how men wish to raise each other and how men support each other. And so like for me it's like a conversation, as you mentioned, like, you know, so very often women don't necessarily listen to men, but in the same way, because men ain't chatting, men ain't really
Yeah,
talking to tea,
yeah,
men ain't really like going like, yo, actually this was actually, as to the reason why I have this belief is because of this.
yeah.
And I feel like it was really important to really like bring that together. I'm not right trying to establish or talk about things in relation to like adults, but I'm thinking bringing it back to a very vulnerable time as men, such as our childhood, and what does that really mean? And so, yeah, it was brilliant, sort of like bringing everyone together, like people I knew from day, like I knew like other people that were talking about the subject, and I could literally just reach out to them to say, you know, whether they're interested and like have a dialogue. And like the one thing that I said was needs to be vulnerable, like the whole book just needs to be vulnerable. So like bring a topic or come hard with a topic that you think that is going to challenge you. And then other people that I've been following for a very long time, like Jeffrey, who I absolutely love and has been writing books upon books
Yes.
upon books. Like you do it like it's like light work to Jeffrey. And so for me, it was really important to like have his voice and have his sort of mindset because it anchored the book as such a in different respects, and I just feel like it has like such a more sort of layered and just quite it's quite varied, you know. So yeah, that's how it kind of like started and how I kind of like brought people together.
I love it. I love it so, so much because like just the titles, and the explanation. So we've got your both of your pieces that we're going to go into shortly, but I became intrigued by Condomless Sex
Yeah,
by Phil Samba.
yeah,
Amazing.
And like
Amazing.
just like there's just there is so like I want to use the word raw, lol, but no, like I want to use that word because, but then I think that sometimes when publishers or people just generally, when they discuss the works of black people, they want to go to that word. But as a black person who's using that word, it is like, it's unfiltered and it is vulnerable. So when I talk about it being raw, it's just that vulnerability, like it hasn't been seasoned or peppered with anything other than, or sugar coated. It's just like, here is what it is. And I think that
Yeah.
it's it's revolutionary to be able to see black men in that way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, fully. That chapter, I learned so much from it. That's the thing. Like, I learned so much by reading this book. You know, when you get sent a copy of a book, you get a proof, you flick through. I just like inhaled it, and I was learning about obviously the authors themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but about my own lived experience. You know, Phil Samber's chapter taught me things about sexual health that I've
Yes.
never had articulated to me. And I'm a
Yeah.
big grown person. It was really amazing. So just yeah, thank you, Iggy, for assembling this group of writers because it's really special. And I'm just glad to have like read it as well as been in it, you know.
That's when you know that you're
right.
part of something amazing. Like
Yeah.
when you're reading everybody else's work and you're like, "What? We did that. We did." Like you are genuinely growing from reading what other people have also contributed. I think that is incredible. But speaking about your work, Jeffrey, Pellet Gun
Yeah.
Boy I was reading it and I was like, this is so Jeffrey. Like, even though we haven't spent much time together, we kind of like see each other in passing. I read it and I was just like, it's so like you telling that story just felt quintessentially you.
Yeah, I think so. I think I just took the brief as let me just go into like the realest story about my experience of growing up in my corner of the world and what I learned in my adolescence. And you get a pretty, yeah, as you say, that is me on the page. That's like
So like without reading the whole thing, because I don't want to spoil it for everybody that's going to go and buy it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But this bit, when you're talking about, you say here, a group of kids stopped what they were doing and started to approach. A few of them laughing at my trainer's haircut and the choice of pastime in that order. I skated away at uncatchable speeds and was left with a slightly raised heart rate and this anecdote. Here's a list of other times I found myself in danger just by being out and about. Being out late in the West End with some friends after school, courtesy of the number 19 bus, and being surrounded by a larger group of boys. One of us gave up some money and I got a punch in the face, at which point a nearby girl... At which point, a nearby girl screamed, "He's wearing glasses! He's wearing..."
yeah. Fact. Was that you? Were you the nearby girl? I just remember his voice. He's wearing glasses. And at that point, everyone was like, oh, you know what? This guy's wearing glasses. Let's just all leave. That's how that anecdote ended. You know, I got punched in the face with my glasses on. I'm like, what is this? It's real out there.
Because it's... No, honestly, I can imagine that it was... there were aspects to it that's traumatic. But you know, like sometimes we replay things that happened to us in our youth.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's actually wild. And then you remember the most random things that also happened at the same time. So it was the detail of he's wearing glasses that sent me, because that's typical young woman out in West End, just a little bit drunk and just being frantic. Guys, don't leave him alone. No, please, no.
That's exactly how it went down. Like that's the perfect impression of that moment, and that's why I remembered it. Like seriously, you know.
And just the reality that as black men, as black boys growing into men, you all experience so much. The things that go unsaid, the things that over time we have to find humor, we have to find lightness in, because I guess that, and this, this collection exemplifies that at some point there has to be the things that we share in order that the load may be lighter.
Yeah,
Oscar,
yeah,
Shandaha. I'm speaking in tongues because the way it's real. I'm telling you for free. Like it's. Can you believe? Like, and I feel like it's so deep because I understand. I understand the position in which um men in general in society can be raised
Mm,
to a certain extent, and their positioning in contrast to like other people and other, like women in society and things like that. But I really need people to understand is that there's a false sense of security that men just generally sort of have,
mm,
and they take that on board throughout their whole life. And I
mm,
feel like we don't realize how um how extensive the load is, and how difficult it is to sort of exist knowing fully well that the only time in which you sort of like have these deep conversations, or only time that you hint at where you're at in life, is when you go, yo, you saying you good? Yeah, I'm good, trying to be like you. All right, cool, see you later,
yeah,
bless, man.
yeah,
And that's it. It's just the little, these little fleeting sort of comments that we try to do to mask all of these things that we actually are feeling, because we believe that everyone else in society is just getting on with it and has,
mm,
deals with it. In actual fact, we don't. In actual fact, it's connected to the suicide rates. It's connected to depression. It's connected to like why, like, it's connected to, you know, children being in fathers being in their children's lives. It's connected to how we treat women. It's connected to all these things, ourselves. And like, but then sometimes you gotta bring humor to it. Like you gotta
yeah,
bring sort of humor to it, so for people to feel like it's palatable and people to reach a mass audience, and also to understand that like it's not all doom and gloom,
true.
for sure.
yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
definitely
Exactly,
true.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
that's the humanity part, isn't it? Like just bringing that the nuance of a whole human being. It gets lost with black masculinity sometimes because we're
yeah,
just stereotyped, maligned, demonized, discriminated against. So all the nuances of what makes a person can get lost, and it's tragic. So I just love the fact that you get all that when you read this collection. Yeah,
you do. You get to meet so many like different types of, you know, characters and so many different memories, and it's funny the things we remember, it's funny the things that we do want to talk about. Before we talk about your piece, Iggy, well, you feature quite a bit in this since you put it together. um Before we talk about your piece, I wanted to talk to you both about the nod. At what point do you just know that when you see another black man you nod? Because I feel like as black women we don't have that.
really.
Maybe they just don't nod at
But that's
me.
the,
Maybe
but
they
that's the
I
hate
thing.
thought
me.
I
But I
thought
don't
it
feel
was
Same
like
just
we
here.
have
black
that. I feel like
people that did that.
we have other things. I feel like as black women, we have certain things. You know, like as a black woman, you can be in a space with another black woman, and then something wild happens, and you will always find each other's eyes. And if you don't find each other's eyes, that person's an op. Like, so, like,
That person's complicit.
An op, you know.
like when
I
you
love it.
see collective madness happening, there is a way that you will just see each other and you'll be like, and that's it. And enough has been said, and you're like, cool. So maybe it's not the nod, but it's something. But in terms of black men, I feel like that wherever I go in the world, when black men see each other, the nod happens. I was like, when did you have a meeting? What? How did this? Like, talk to me about it, because I find it
Exactly.
fascinating and I find it heartwarming in the same way.
Yeah, no, no. Just to let you know, like, I know that nobody knows this, but you know, black men have basically formed a massive group, like as a whole society. We meet every Tuesday. And I'm joking. But basically, like the nod for me is everything. The nod, unfortunately, is the way in which we discuss, the way in which we commune as young men. But also, there's this like respect. There's this mutual sort of respect or mutual sort of like empathy. It's like instead of saying, I empathize with you or having a conversation, it's like through the nod, I feel like I understand your plight, I understand your fight, your struggle, and it's also just like being appreciative of someone else. Like there's a sort of like you know power onwards sort of like reference to it, or there's like I got you, bro, or like yo, you see someone that you see feel like you know like you would be cool, you'd be friends with, you give them a nod. Like there's so many different meanings behind it. I feel like it's so strange because I don't know these people from Adam. Like, but I'm out here like I will nod, and I'm really complicit in it. Like I be hitting people up and I'm like, I'll give you a little nod, just let you know, yeah, I see you doing your thing, bro. It's a spud. It's a spud when you're too far to actually spud them, kind of
Like
thing.
a head
What
spud.
in it? I can it's a head spud, not thump, but it's a head
A
spud.
little social distance
Exactly. What
headbutt.
do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
It's the same, yeah. It's like it's just being seen. You know, like actually being seen for what you are and what your lived experience is. There's a lot in there because that nod says, "I see you, but I also recognize you. I recognize what you're going through. I recognize
Yeah,
the unspoken trauma. I recognize our shared heritage. Like that's a
Yeah.
big part of it. It
yeah,
is. It is like a recognition of family, which makes it really powerful, man. It's love really. And as I get older and I start exploring this great white world that we live in, I'm in a lot of spaces where I'm in the minority. Like the more I get into the world of media and stuff, you just find yourself in a space where like, where's all the black people?
Mm-hmm.
That nod becomes a big thing. It becomes sometimes I go beyond the nod and it becomes a handshake and then it becomes a first name, like how are you? You know, because part of that is just linking arms with people
Yeah.
who are sort of sharing your plight, and it
Yeah.
can feel like that sometimes. So yeah, big deal,
yeah,
big deal.
So then
yeah,
how do
yeah.
we where how do we is there a stage where we go from where you from, like you mentioned in your piece?
Yeah.
How do we go from where you from to the nod? Because they're separate experiences, right? One is of hostility, in certain regards, hostility, curiosity, but hostility.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how do we go from where you from to the nod? Is that the maturity? What happens there?
Should I take this one, Iggy? Because I mean, having written about that specifically, that whole adolescent phase for every human being, you're just trying to work out who you are, but you're also trying to empower yourself in some way. That's what adolescence is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I taught for 15 years, and you see teenagers trying on literally different outfits of identity. Like one day they look like that, one day they look like this.
Mm,
So in that phase when you're trying to work out who you are as a young male, because
mm,
the patriarchy is real, it's telling you to be powerful
mm-hmm,
from a very young age. And so you're trying to like copy these patterns of power and machismo that you've been shown. And
mm,
one way of doing that is to exert your aggression over other people. It's so tragic, right?
mm,
Because that's not what we are. So that where you from conversation is all about your insecurity over not being like a tough man, over not having power. So you're going to exert it. And that makes
mm,
that whole time of life, for some people, it can be very dangerous. Like, because you're in this game that you didn't sign up for of like
mm,
masculinity, power politics. But then hopefully you come out the other end of that where you find yourself in a way that isn't tied to like toxic masculinity or to the stereotyping or to the proximity to crime and deprivation that can make you insecure. You come out of that, and then it
mm.
becomes a case of you've been through something, I've been through something, we're together in this. So, like, my piece is a love story, really. Actually, I'm not sure, Iggy, what you think, but I think they're all love stories.
Yeah.
In like, there's a thread of love in all of them. Even mine, which is about an antagonist and a protagonist, me with my glasses on, skating around London. It's actually a love story between the two of us, you know. And
It
I
has a
kind of
romantic flair to it. You
it
know,
has,
like there are
doesn't it?
different there are different ways that like romance can show up, you know, randomly, even in our kind of feuds or our this nemesis that we have in our area, regardless of anything. There's just a dynamic to it that is almost cinematic. in the way that it
Yeah.
plays out. And I feel like your piece specifically speaks to that. But yeah, I do feel like when I read each of each of the pieces, each of the contributions, that does come across that it's either an element of love, unrequited love, depriving ourselves of love, tentative sharing of love, seeing how it plays out in other people's lives. There are so many facets that you can see that thread of love running through. But in terms of you, Iggy, and love, you speak to us about the audacity of heartbreak. And it really touched me because you open with just initially thinking you were dying.
Willie, I can't legit, I don't think you understand. I legit thought I was dying. I thought like, yo, this feeling that I got. I mean, I need all y'all to understand that I'm really in the trenches. And I need ginger, I need lemon, I need lemsip, I need something, I
You
need
did
prayer, I
lateral
need
flow
fasting.
tests.
Lateral, I did lateral flow test. I did lateral flow test. I went to the doctors. I came back. I did this. I did that. I told my mom about it. My mom prayed about it. I told my grandmama about it. She prayed about it. My brothers were hitting me up, being like, "Yo, try this. Have you heard about this kombucha?" I learned about kombucha because of this, and then it just took me the notebook. One
Yes.
notebook to realize, wow, this is what people are really experiencing. And it was during the height of COVID, which I found so funny. Like during the height of COVID, and thinking it must be COVID. It must be COVID because it can't be me. It can't be like my heartbreak. And actually just pairing it back and understanding where it came from, and then like realizing, oh yeah, it actually is heartbreak. And so for someone, for me, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, like big man thing, like say your mind is say your mind. Like for me, I was the black Casanova in the streets then,
Mm.
right? I'm like
Wow.
Shoreditch, Central, you give me Ace Hotel, can you call at any event? I was trying my luck. I was
You were
trying my luck.
there, five foot
I was
11, giving low voice. You were telling them, you were like,
yo,
who can
how are
chat? Who
you?
can chat?
You get me? I was in the chat, I was walking, smiling, winking, done no gang gang. So then I just really, like
That
living
man
my
said
best
wink.
life. And then I started to deep it, I met my match. Met my match in
Ooh,
2019. And then that's when it sort of kind of like collided to me when I was just like, oh geez, I'm not this person that I thought I was. And in fact, oh, I'm also I have the privilege and the experience to actually feel heartbreak, to
yes.
understand the emotional sort of connections between my body and my mind, and how like I can move past those things. And it doesn't have to be this feeling of like, woe is me.
Mm,
But the one thing that I learned the most is that sometimes when you have heartbreak, sometimes there's this kind of desire to want to fester and stay in your
mm,
heartbreak because you feel like that's the only way to connect with the person that's obviously no longer in your life. So you're
mm.
struggling to like move on past it because you feel as though like you're so connected to them. And even if it's a bad feeling, you feel like this is the only way you connect to them.
The
So
last
for
thing
me,
you
it
have
was like,
left. Yeah.
exactly, it's the one thing that you have left.
Mm,
Exactly. So it's one of those things where for me, it was like I had to go through that process to understand more about myself, to
mm,
understand where I'm at, and also to realize that it's actually very much common. And I used to laugh at the girls, or I used to laugh at the guys who were like, yeah, 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 I'm this, I'm that, and this idea of simp energy and all of this
mm.
other things are connected to like that. And I was like, actually, it's something which is really powerful. And beautiful in understanding your emotions and understanding where you connect, and doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think it's so important that you say that. One thing, I love how it caught you off guard because you were really on that app for boredom. And you're like, yeah, let's just go. I mean, why not? Let's go eat Turkish food.
You
And then she
know,
walks in and she was a babe. I was like, pepper them. Pepper them. She got you. She got you there.
really, and then I thought that I was really, when you do it for boredom, you're like, yo, like I really haven't ate this type of fish yet, or this pasta, or this kind
Yeah.
of, and then you're like, yo, no, 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 no. That's it. I really met my match.
Yeah.
And then I realized, also, I'm just realized at the end of the day, like, you can't be out here feling like people aren't going to do the same to you. Like, it doesn't
This
make sense.
is it. I'm always
Yeah.
like, if creator could create you, Omar, they also created a mirror to you, so there'll be someone who can match you where you're at. Like they'll go toe to
Yeah,
toe,
yeah,
and more so in terms of allowing our spiritual evolution, because sometimes people think about soulmates and things like that, or people like that, as merely the romantic feel good things. But your soulmates also show up for your own spiritual evolution, because had that not happened, you wouldn't have written this. And so it leads on to the other thing I wanted to say, that when you mention when women experience heartbreak, or they have things to go to, like there's a sort of like a framework, because we've seen it play out in movies and songs and books. I don't think that it is that way for many men. No, 50%. But, you know, like, I don't think that there is that framework of when you're going through a heartbreak, at least these are the things that you work through. So they're kind of like muddling their way through, and then nobody wants to admit that, oh, I was down bad. So you don't really have much to use, if that makes sense.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
completely. Oh, 1010%. So what happens is that they revert back to their old energy, and they renounce this idea that they could ever be heartbroken, renounce an idea that they could ever feel this way towards a woman, a man, a person they love.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny because I feel like it's such a redundant way of doing it, but people do it every single day. They just like, it's the same energy, and I hate when people do it, but like when someone moves to a girl, and then the girl like kind of says no, and it says,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're buzz anyway."
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're buzz? You were really moving to them.
You
You really
were
giving the
right.
energy. You really
Yeah.
love them. You really care for them. You thought they were
Yeah.
paying. So
Yeah.
it's the same sort of thing. Like, I feel like men put it to the back of their heads and just kind of like
Yeah.
operate as business as usual. When actually they have to address that. In order to address it, they become better humans. They become better people for it, and they know how to actually manage their emotions. And I feel like this is starting a conversation where people can actually understand what is the blueprint for men. What do men do when they're heartbroken?
Yeah, man.
And yeah,
And then,
cater you know.
Jeffrey, you started teaching in what, 2007? Is it 2007?
2007, correct? Yeah.
2007,
Yeah.
you started teaching. So I imagine you've experienced a lot of young boys or boys, having contending with emotion, contending
Oh,
with
100,
feelings. The same
yeah,
way that you said that
fully.
you see them try on personalities and try on
Yeah.
identities and things like that. Seeing them also try to navigate feeling in a
Yes.
society that tells them not to.
Exactly. And also, like, a big part of it, like, I spend a lot of time thinking about popular culture. And when you were just saying there that women are socialized to have this toolkit, something to reach for, right? It sounds like trite, but when you think about it, in the 90s, we had like R&B singers that would sing about being upset. We had R&B boy bands that would sing their hearts out.
In
Goes
the
back
rain.
in the rain,
Man, them were just
in the
shirtless
yeah,
in the rain.
drop to their knees in the rain, rip the shirt off. And then you go back 70s, you got Teddy Pendergrass, you got Isley Brothers. These guys is crying. I started teaching like in this weird, slightly nihilistic time when it was either having the party and getting all the girls or the
Where
toxic
the party,
masculinity
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Or like making the money or being tougher than everyone else. So in terms of expression, like how do you express these feelings through like something like music?
Mm.
A lot of these younger people coming up, they're just not used to that. Like they don't see their stars crying. UK drill artists are starting to get a bit more emotional. Like you're hearing
Oh,
love songs in UK drill. You're starting to, but that
Yeah, like
vulnerability
for
is
example, like I would never forget commitment issues. Like I
mm.
follow
right.
that song. I got commitment issues, but I'm trying to fix that for you. Like even though it's like so menial, like it's so small, like at least we're actually addressing like
Right.
some of the things that we've actually emotionally are connected to, and that could be connected to our childhood, even if it's light hearted and there's levity in that. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, carry on.
Love that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Maybe you know what? Say what you will about Drake, like that's a whole other conversation. But he ushered in this era of people just like letting their emotions out via hip
Mm.
Yeah,
hop, and the door opened wide because suddenly after
yeah,
that you had this man them singing on tracks, like
Yeah.
which when
Yeah.
yeah,
I was coming up in the 90s, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear rappers singing
True.
yeah,
melody, you know. So and now that's part of so that's quite healthy in a way because you
Hmm.
need all the facets of humanity to come out of you in some way. Otherwise, it gets
mm,
brittle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It's. Oh, I feel like and I don't say this lightly, I feel like there's healing to be found in reading the contributions in Mandem. I think that it's a way that we connect. Like, we can't do this without each other. Like, specifically Black people, we can't do this without each other. So it's important for us to be able to look at each other's experiences unflinchingly, to be able to just look and then decide how we move on from there. Because to me, that is the quintessential foundation of Black love, not just in a romantic sense. In terms of community, in terms of friendship, we have to be able to be friends to each other and see, you know, and relate and empathize with each other's experiences. So I feel like you've done a phenomenal job by, you know, putting this together, Iggy, and also your contributions, Jeffrey. And outside of this, Jeffrey, the work that you've done already, like, I think that body of work speaks to so many things, and even what you've contributed, Iggy, culturally, whether it's visually, whether it's audio or otherwise, like, you're both putting such incredible things out there, and I think that is super important that we do have these things. So on a closing note, from each of you, what is the one thing you'd want to say to, like, the man them that listen? Because I know that, Iggy, you said that this is for everybody, right? But let's specifically speak to, like, the people who listen to and who are specifically man them. What's the one thing that you'd want said to them?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a powerful thing. For me, it's like, um, I think it goes back to sort of my definition of masculinity in the book, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but like, I think I speak more so about, if there's one thing, one thing, it would be I speak quite a lot about this idea of um our sort of role as people. Like, it's about understanding our emotions as men, and about understanding, our pitfalls, where we struggle, but where we rise, and how we sort of levitate, and how we put power into ourselves to move and develop as people, as men, as a group, all in the while understanding our relationship with women, understanding our relationship with others who don't identify as men. And I think it's really, 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 really important that we start to understand our emotions. So, um, as you said, Kelechi, I think it's more about being able to experience something and be unflinching towards what will happen. Being able to experience our voices and understand. So my one take would probably be just listen to us, listen to us men more. Like, have conversations, and take it from just the nod to genuine, talks,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
like, be open and be honest with what you're feeling, and don't be scared, because at the end of the day, there's another man probably experiencing the exact same thing that you're experiencing. So yeah, that would be my one take for sure.
I love that. Thank
There you
you.
go.
What about
Mic
you,
drop.
Jeffrey?
Mic drop. I've got almost nothing else to add to that, man. I was like, amen. I was nodding. I was doing the slow Blake nodding. That was me. I'm
I'm
just
so
saying,
good.
like, I'm just saying, like, don't hold, stereotypical masculinity too tightly, because the tighter you grip it, the more it grips you. That's what I'm
Oh,
learning. Like,
wow.
that's my journey that I'm on now. Like, the more you've got to have a loose grip on traditional notions of masculinity, because they're trying to get you by the throat,
Yeah.
and you can see how much damage it does to other people, to individuals, to society. So yeah, and a book like this, it's just, to me, groundbreaking, because it's lots of chinks in the armor into the person behind
Mm.
the facade. Yeah. So yeah. So thank you again, and thank you, Kelechi, because you're a superstar. And if people don't tell you that, they need to tell you that every day. Honestly, what you do and what you bring is incredible, man. So just thank you.
No, thank you both. Thank you for joining me. And I'll definitely let the people them know where to get Mandem. So thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, the bit that actually threw me that stop, don't hit him, don't hit him, he's got glass. He's got glasses on. No, it was, thank you, Iggy and Jeffrey, for speaking with me. Like, absolute baby boys. It was an absolute pleasure to be chatting with the Mandem. And yeah, it was great. So anyway, 2 slaps on your chest. And now we move to So You Mad. So You Mad, there's quite a bit. I just wanted to briefly talk about the fact that Montana has become the first state in the US to completely ban TikTok. I don't know what that means though. I don't know what it means to ban TikTok, because when VPNs exist, I don't know. I really don't get it. But it's very interesting. It says Montana's governor signed the country's first bill that outright bans TikTok, paving the way for a legal fight that could determine the fate of a nationwide prohibition that is under consideration in Washington. Republican Governor Greg Gianforte on Wednesday signed a bill into law after Montana's legislature passed it last month. The legislation drew criticism from Chinese-owned TikTok and free speech advocates, including the American Civil Liberties Union. The Montana ban is set to go into effect on January 1st. Any legal challenge, though, could trigger an injunction to delay the ban's start date. The law would bar TikTok from operating within the Treasure State and would also forbid app stores such as Google's and Apple's from making TikTok available to download within Montana. TikTok and app stores would be liable for fines of $10,000 a day for violating the law. Individual TikTok users wouldn't be punished. It says here, Gianforte signed a bill that infringes on the First Amendment rights of the people of Montana by unlawfully banning TikTok, a TikTok spokeswoman said in a statement. She did not say whether the company plans to pursue legal action. TikTok, in an earlier statement, said the bill's constitutionality will be decided by the courts. Google declined to comment and Apple didn't respond to a request for comment. It is unclear how the ban would be enforced or what would happen to Montanans who downloaded the app before the ban's January the 1st start date. There also remains unanswered questions over whether Montanans could use a workaround such as a virtual private network, like I said, a VPN, to make their devices look like they are outside of the state. When pressed for specifics, the Republican state senator who sponsored the legislation, Shelley Vance, said the onus of complying with the legislation would be on TikTok itself. Yeah, it's just weird to me. I feel like there's more going on. They don't want to tell us, but I feel like they're pretending that they're arguing over TikTok, but it feels like they're arguing about something else. It says here, a legal challenge over the Montana bill could give insight into whether courts would uphold federal efforts aimed at banning TikTok, which has 150 million users in the US. Yeah, it feels like there's something going on. Like, yeah, they keep stressing Chinese app TikTok. I mean, I'm sure that there is I'm sure that shady things are going on, even, with TikTok itself. I'm very, very sure of this, very sure. But outside of that, it just feels like there's shadiness generally. And Pluto in Aquarius is going to pick this up. And it's funny that the bill doesn't go into action or whatever, doesn't become active until January the 1st when Pluto returns to Aquarius. Because, Pluto's going to retrograde back into Capricorn. And then it's going to come back into Aquarius from January 2024. So I feel that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. You're here as nothing I fear, 'cause I know that my TikTok will go on. So yeah, that's very interesting to me, whatever's going to happen with TikTok. Let's see how that plays out. But it's like I said, there's going to be many, many things. We're going to see lots of tech companies going through it. Some are just going to shoot into notoriety and success, and others are just going to crash and burn. And they will not rise like the phoenix on my thighs. Oh my God, that is a poem. That's a poem. We got it. We got it. Anyway, something that is closing down though is St. Martin's in the Field. So St. Martin's in the Field, I wouldn't expect some of you to know if you're not from South London or not from London or you're not from the UK, that's fine. But St. Martin's in the Field is a high school and they wear brown uniform. Sorry, the reason I say that is because St. Martin's in the Fields, as well as St. Saviour's and St. Olaf's, and the high school that I went to, Notre Dame, we all wore brown uniforms. Did St. Saviour's wear brown? I can't remember if St. Saviour's and St. Olaf's wore brown, but we did. I used to call them St. Saviour's and St. Olave's. But anyway, my Notre Dame, as well as Notre Dame. Notre Dame, as well as St. Martin's in the Fields, we both wore deep brown uniform. And I think that contributes to why I behave the way that I behave now, because I spent 5 years of my life wearing brown uniform and a yellow shirt. I was a yellow shirt. Big up myself. Big up all of my yellow shirts. Yeah. So blame the school uniform. And St. Martin's in the Fields, I hold them fondly in my heart because I used to call them affectionately "see my tits in the fields." But that's my immature wordplay is not what's important right now. What's important is the fact that St. Martin's in the Fields High School in South London near Tulse Hill put out a statement the other day saying school closure information, public statement. They didn't even bother to change the title so it looked better. It says here, this was released on the 12th of May. Following the recent news that St. Martin in the Fields High School for Girls will not be admitting a Year 7 cohort in September 2023, we are writing to inform you of the closure of our school. We recently announced that St. Martin's was unable to accept a new cohort of Year 7 students this September due to falling pupil numbers in Lambeth and neighbouring boroughs. There has been a significant decline in the number of young people living and going to school in Lambeth, meaning that we, along with the other local schools, have seen our student numbers diminish in recent years. The number of pupils in Lambeth is not expected to increase for approximately 8 years since funding for schools is awarded based on its pupil numbers. It's no longer viable for St. Martin's to continue operating as a school and deliver the level of education that our young people deserve. The substantive decision has therefore been made to begin the process of closure. It is proposed that St. Martin in the Fields High School for Girls will close to all current Year 7, 8 and 9 students effective from 31st of August 2023. I need you to hear that again. St. Martin's in a high school, or St. Martin in the Fields High School for Girls will close to all current Year 7, Year 8 and Year 9 students effective from 31st of August 2023. Do the mathematics. They're basically saying after the summer holidays, you ain't got to go home, but you're not coming the fuck back over here. Wow. The school will remain open until August 2024 for current Year 10 and 12 students to complete their qualifications. That is a madness. What happens to the Year 11s? Anyway, we understand this news will be upsetting and disconcerting for members of our school community and beyond, and we would like to assure you that throughout the coming months, our priority will be providing support, guidance, and as much information as possible. We have explored in great depth various avenues in order to keep St. Martin's open, including the prospect of becoming a co-educational and or merging with other local schools. Unfortunately, after reviewing each of these options in detail, none were viable, and nor could they overcome the fundamental issue of falling pupil numbers that we are facing in Lambeth. St. Martin in the Fields was established in 1699 and has a rich history of educating girls. There are currently 388 students on roll at St. Martin's and 55 members of staff, all of which remain our priority during this challenging time. We understand that our rich heritage, alumni, and keen involvement in the local community means that many other groups will also be impacted by the announcement of our closure. We are committed to offering transparency and support to all of those affected. As an academy built on love and learning, we are determined to mitigate the impact of this event on the educational journeys of our students. We will shortly begin a reallocation process in collaboration with the local authority in which students who currently attend St. Martin in the Fields High School for Girls will be allocated a place at another local school in order to continue their studies in the new academic year with minimal disruption. For current Year 7, 8 and 9 students, we will work with the local authority to use the intended offer approach to ensure that no student or family is disadvantaged. The intended offers will be allocated based on distance to the nearest available place in a Lambeth school that is Ofsted rated as good or outstanding. Parents will have the opportunity to apply. I just think it's really, really sad You know, it's really, really sad because this happened with, is it Archbishop Tennyson's? I could be wrong. There's something about schools in South London, and I can only speak to South London because maybe it's happening in like bare places that I don't know about. There's something about schools in South London closing, schools that predominantly black children attend, that have black pupils, and they're suddenly like, oh, sorry, we don't have any more money. Sorry about that. We're just going to have to close down. I know that if Penelope and Millicent were going to your school, you would not just shut it down like that. You would not just shut it down because their parents that bought out all of these areas and bought out these homes and renovated them and whatever else and moved to these areas, their parents would not allow it. But what's funny is that their parents are moving into the area, but they don't want to send their children to schools in the area. Gentrification is an absolute bitch. And I feel for the girls, the students, the pupils who are having their education disrupted. Not only have they had to deal with fucking COVID and lockdown and all of them things, but now you're saying to them, oh, actually, also, you're not going to have a school come the summer holidays. Like, what even is that? Sometimes I hate it here, you know, I really do. So sending all of the love to the students and the staff at St. Martin. I don't know. I really don't know. And I hope that the teachers stay the course. Like, please don't now, oh, I need to find a new job. And then you're leaving and they've got less teachers than before. And then everything done fuck up. Like, let's at least get the, you know, let's get these baby girls all the way over the line. If that, please. Talking of children and young people, Boris Johnson, your human cannon of sperm is expecting another child. Boris Alexander Pfeffel Johnson, when will you rest your loins? Boris Bazar. How many times did I call you? 3 times. Tie it up. Or snip. I was even using wrong anatomy. Snip. Snip it, snip. It's enough. Because you lot are the first motherfuckers to come and talk about Africa and overpopulation. Because the problem with overpopulation. Because the problem with overpopulation in Africa. Overpopulation in Africa, but you don't think about the way that you're populating the uterus of all of these little blondies that you see around you.
What the hey? You better go somewhere and beat your meat.
And Carrie, I don't know how you do it, girl. You need to go on SAS. You need to go on SAS because you get liver. You get liver. Or liar. You have heart. It's what they'll say in my country. You have heart. Letting that ball lay on you. Ew. Oh. And I heard he doesn't smell great.
Because you're not that cute and your hair is uneven. You look dusty.
Jesus Christ. Smelly somebody. And you're just taking it. You're just absorbing it. Just absorbing the semen and then creating life from it. Incredible scenes. Truly incredible scenes. But this is why they say that in life, there is a pot for every lid. Or there's a lid for every pot. Because some people are out here being like feeling down, feeling sad. Like, oh, I'll never meet someone. Boris has been getting gyal. Boris is chopping pom-pom left, right, and center. What do you mean that you can't get somebody? Like, if Boris can get it, somebody can get it. Anybody can get it, please. But another child? You can't even, if I ask you right now, Boris, wake up. If I woke you up at 2:43 in the morning and said, Boris, did wake up. How many children do you have? You'll do? I don't quite know. How is it? How is it that you, like, we all know you're a performer anyway, because that bumbling fool act that you like to do, you don't bumble and you don't fall up, you don't fuck up the bag when it's time to insert into a vag. You don't. You know your way around a poussoir. I'll give you that. Gemini things. Yeah, stop. Just stop. Just snip. Just stop, Boris. Stop. It's enough. Otito, it's enough. Every day, another child. Every other year. Every year. Or is it every other year you're dropping another child? As if you're Jay-Z releasing albums. Like, stop. Stop. Oh, God. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that, really. Now I'll take you to the interview with myself and John Terry Gadsden, who's a phenomenal writer. She writes on Black Lady Sketch Show, and I love that comedy sketch show. I love it. And we're discussing the writer's strike that's taking place in America at the moment. We couldn't not talk about it because sooner or later, baby, all you're going to have is me to watch, because all of the series, all of the shows, all the films will dry up because the writers are like, no, you can't keep taking us for idiot. Like, you're going to have to pay us properly. You're going to have to respect our demands. Again, Pluto and Aquarius themes. You see? I promise you, there's going to be way more strikes, way more protests happening over the next 20 years. People are just going to be so fed up, so tired of the fuckery that something will eventually need to be done. So anyway, let me cut to myself and John Terry, and I hope that you enjoy the convo. John Terry, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I know that you are in the thick of it with the writers' strike. And so for people who don't know, the WGA stands for the Writers Guild of America, right?
That's right. Yep.
Right. And you are just doing all of the things from Black Lady Sketch Show, which I love. I've talked about it on here amongst so many other works of yours. And it's been interesting to me being in London, in the UK, trying to understand what's going on, what is going on, because things are heated.
Oh yeah. Well, how it started was that there's this, so the Association of Motion Picture, all of the studios, network streamers, they band together, and that's who we're negotiating with, because that's who pays, gives us our paychecks when we're working on shows. They didn't give us a fair deal in our contract. And so far that it wasn't fair, so far unfair that they refused to even counter offer or even negotiate on some things. So we really had no choice but to strike. And what we're asking for is very reasonable too. That's why I'm always worried that people think, oh, the writers, they're all rich, which we're not. But really 2%, I can attest, 2% of the, profits they make on our work would cover all of our demands. Just
wow.
2%. Yeah. So now it's gotten to the point, you pushed us to strike. Now SAG is authorizing a strike vote before they even go into negotiations. We have a big rally coming up at the end of the week with all the labor unions. And so it's going down. Yeah.
I mean, I'm an astrology baby, and Pluto in Aquarius, it was bound to happen. We need the power to come back to the people. We need the power to come back to the people who are doing the work, because without the writers, the shows wouldn't slap. And I was saying it the other day that as an actor / director and all the things that, the things that I do, I understand the importance of a phenomenal script. A lot of the things that we find funny from our favorite shows or our films, if it was not down to the writers that were putting in that work, of course, everybody, has their role to play. But if you don't have a good script, you don't have anything. You could do all the lighting, all the directing in the world, and it's still rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. Not even, you don't have a script at all without us. But then on top of that, you're not going to have a good script. Yeah. And those good performances, that's the thing I miss the most right now while being on strike, is being the collaborative nature of our work, collaborating with each other to get you guys that good script, and then collaborating with the directors, all of these different levels of collaboration that all begins with the writing.
Definitely. I was in a writer's room a couple of years ago, and when you feel like I can do this, I'm funny, I know structure. I was fighting for my life. Jesus. Because suddenly you have to make what you're doing make sense with what everybody else is doing, and also fit in with the thematic kind of overarching structure of the brand of whatever that thing is. And you're just but I just wanted to write my thing.
Exactly. Or I think I'm funny. Yeah, well, now you're in a room full of like funny, like
Yes.
every
Equally funny, if not beat your ass down funny. Like they will,
exactly.
on their worst day, they're funnier than you. What are you saying?
Exactly.
And so when I heard about what was going on, I was really trying to keep up with everything, and I see how, you know, instrumental you are to everything that's happening as well. So I want to say kudos to you, because it's a lot. It is a lot to put your head above the parapet. I know, like, you know, it's a collective effort with so many people, but I'm sure that in some regards there is a little bit of, I don't know, I should ask, is there a little bit of fear, like, you know, what comes, you know, off the back of this, with production companies and people being like, oh, that one's a troublemaker? No.
Oh, yeah, no, actually that never crossed my mind. All but now I can, because when people have said like, oh, everybody, like some people would be afraid to do this, and I didn't understand why. That's the first time I actually considered what you said, but it's I'm still not. For me, no, it's just wanting to do everything I possibly can to get back to the job I love is what's driving me. Like the fear is, I'm not even worried about that, because I do recognize our value as writers, my value, that even if they consider us troublemakers, they still need us.
Yeah. I'm a funny troublemaker, baby. I'm a funny troublemaker that can write.
Yeah, because our relationships, right? It's almost like two boxers who are friends. It's like you're gonna get in the ring, you're gonna hit each other, and then afterwards you're gonna like go out. I think that's us with these studios and producers that we used to work with, right? Like they're our collaborators too. So I think this is all a part of the fight. But after it's over, hopefully there won't be any hard feelings.
I hope so, and I believe so, because we had something not necessarily similar, but we had like a massive strike in 2007, right? That lasted about 100 days exactly.
Yeah.
And so now people aren't really sure how long this strike is going to be.
Oh yeah, no, we have like our guesses and everything, but no, it's not, because it's not up to us. You know, we're ready to go back to the table. We're not the ones who are refusing to negotiate, right? And so it's when are they going to go back to the table and really be open in good faith to negotiating with us and speaking to us about our very reasonable demands.
Yes, because one of the kind of, I guess, residuals that came from like the 2007 strike was the fact that writers were getting particular cuts off DVD. Was it like DVD sales and things like that?
Yeah.
But then streaming has really, really shaken up the game.
Yeah, because I think it came out as like, oh, it's just an experiment. We don't know how well. I think by this point we can say the experiment has worked very well.
It's working, guys. It's working. Yes.
Exactly. And so now you can't just be like, oh, we don't know what's going on. We're just going with it. It's like, no, you know these numbers that we're not allowed to know. There's no transparency, so it's like they know that it's doing very well. They know how much they're spending. They know how much they're making. And so if they were transparent about those numbers, we could devise a way for us to get a fair part of that profit.
Yes.
But yeah.
And so, transparency is necessary. And I commend what you are all doing, because I do think it's important for us to use our voices and also to withhold our services until, we see change. Because if we just continued working going, oh, I'm really not happy here. Oh, well, You're still working and you're unhappy. So what's my business?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, that's exactly it. Because how many of us do that, right? It's like, well, at least I'm getting a paycheck. They weren't the ones who said to us like, we're going to stop paying you. We said, I'm going to walk away from this paycheck because it's that important for us to get what we want in this moment and for the future of our whole industry. Like right now, it just seems so desperate. Like I was talking to somebody on the picket line the other day where it's like, it would be different if we were on strike and we were mad about it. Like, oh man, like everybody else wants to strike, but I don't want to, right? We're so unified in the necessity of like keeping the existence of writers' rooms alive. Yes. Like it's that important. Like our entire profession feels like it depends on this moment.
And I feel it. It's so palpable. We can all feel it, and we understand how integral Hollywood is to a lot of our a lot of our lives. Because if the machine, as it were, stops, then in a few months you're not going to have anything to watch on your fave like streaming channels. Like you're just not, unless you're going to go and watch the reruns, or you won't have anything fresh. And the rate that people are consuming these things, you can't not have writers. Like, what are you doing? So it's,
and what are we gonna talk about?
What?
Like, how much we talk about these like TV shows like it's part of our lives, and it is.
Because if we don't have anything to talk about, guess what? White people are going to start asking us about our hair again.
Exactly.
Oh, new hairstyle. So I'm like, please,
Distract them
save
with the
us. Save us. So no, I really, really commend all of your efforts. Now, I heard that there was something about AI. And they were like, well, the writer girlies can go because AI can do what they're doing. So, which I don't think it can, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely can't do it especially not to the level that we're doing. And I think that was one of the big things when I saw what the negotiation committee was, or not negotiate, like us, what we were asking for, and how they even refused to counter our proposal about AI. Like they're like, oh, we definitely want to use it, is basically what they're saying. And yeah, what it was like, and then what they proposed, maybe they did counter this one, but what they proposed was, we're not going to say they don't want to be regulated on it. And every year we'll have like a meeting about technology advancements. Yeah. And so I think that to me is scary because while we might recognize that the quality isn't there, and that, being in writers' rooms and having seen like the magic that happens when, we all combine our human experiences and then to make something that can connect with people outside of that room. Like, I think we know that AI can't do that. I don't trust that the executives or the people in power don't know that AI can't do that same thing because they've never had that experience. So,
and by the time but I feel like by the time that they realize, it might just be too late, because I think that they think that because of the rate that a lot of films and series and things are coming out, that we'll settle for anything. Like they can drop the quality of it and we'll just be fine. But actually, that's wild and that's untrue, because I think actually apps like TikTok, Instagram Reels, they've upped the level. Because they've shown you that there are funny people in the day-to-day that when they do their own thing, like they're funny as hell. So they're not going to settle for you getting some AI, some kind of tech thing, some software to do that, because there's nuance. There's also keeping up with what's happening. And maybe I'm underestimating what AI can do, but I've seen some of these ads that's like, look at me, I'm AI and I can do your essay. That essay doesn't make sense. Like, behave. Like, that essay does not make sense.
Or it doesn't add anything, and it's also not original. Where's AI getting AI's ideas? From us.
That is it.
So you don't even know if they're plagiarizing.
You'll just be like, wait, I know these lines. What?
Yeah.
And then it's just churning out some lines from. You're right. AI can only go with what's already known, and the beauty of writers, the beauty of us as creatives and as humans, really, is that we can draw on so many things, and the genius can come out of nowhere. The idea can come out of nowhere.
Yes, and that's the best feeling, like being in the writer's room when that happens. And I do think, like, even as an audience member, like I'm like, have you been on Twitter? Audiences are smart. Like they're all up in these shows. Like they're tearing it down when things don't make sense. And so I feel like the audience, the viewers should be upset. The fans should be upset that they're underestimating their intelligence, and like they will just accept anything just to be sitting in front of a TV,
and just taking everything in, and they don't care. Because we saw how Game of Thrones got dragged for that final season. We saw that they were dragged across that Twitter timeline. They were dragged up and down. Like, people weren't impressed, so that speaks to your point that we want more. Like, you can't just give us anything. I watch people literally point out the plot holes in things that I thought were intact. And maybe it speaks to my level of intelligence, because I was just like, oh, that was so great. And they're like, actually, that didn't make sense because then this and this. And you're like, Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I saw it too. I was just waiting for you to say.
Exactly. And that's what writers are able to do. Like, we're anticipating that because we're out in the world, we're seeing people, be able
Yeah.
to do that. No, like, hey, it's got to make sense. It's got to be logical. It's got to be and emotional. It's got to have all of these levels that
Yeah.
I don't know that the AI can do. And it's not like I'm not somebody that's afraid of technology. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that. I think there are ways to incorporate it. But I think just because it can write words doesn't mean that it can replace a writer. And that's
Yes.
what I'm not sure that the other side is aware of.
And it's the ethics, as you say, behind it as well. Like, how are you
Yeah.
ethically going to use this without trying to shortchange and to oust like incredible creative people? Because it feels like that's where it's headed. And we've got to be honest, there's going to always be a racialized, classist kind of take on this as well. Because who are the writers that are likely to get dropped first? What ethnicities, what backgrounds are they going to be? So
Absolutely.
I can see how it's all, how it's all going to unfold.
Yeah, I saw some quote. I don't know who it was. It was, but they were saying about how AI could do the grunt work for like a show. Excuse me.
It's okay.
So like the grunt work, as in the work that a lower level writer would do. The AI could do the grunt work, and then the showrunner could just go and do their pass on it. That lower level writer is where the people of color are, the other marginalized identities. A majority of us are down there, and so you're exactly right about that.
Yeah. And we always see it because it's going to be us collectively from those, within those margins that they come for. And so that's why I was like, no, we need to make a conversation happen. So my listeners, a lot more people are aware that we can't just take this as something that's happening over there. And also, when we talked about, you mentioned picket lines earlier, and obviously producers and people, they're going to try and get creative. So if there was something that you could say to maybe UK writers about how they can support with this movement, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, I think, well, one thing is, when I think about like what the opposition is saying, or people that don't understand, and that, yes, a lot of people are out of work, right? A lot of people who aren't writers are out of work by us having to strike. And so one thing that you can do from anywhere is support like the Entertainment Community Fund. Like, writers, we've put in like millions of dollars into it. And that is a fund that other people that are out of work besides us can pull from, in these instances, to like help them out financially. So that's one thing. Another thing too is like, I don't know how it works as far over there, as far as like your unions and stuff, but if they're coming from over here, like, to replace us with you, and we're telling, and ahead of time, like, you're not going to get paid what you're worth. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get a good deal for replacing us,
Yes.
right? And I don't believe that a lot of UK writers are looking to do that. But it feels to me like, by even asking you in this time, if they weren't asking you before, then they're devaluing you as a creative as well.
Yes.
And so the support has meant a lot. I've seen where, like, I don't know, it was like Australia, even I think the British writers, like, all saying like, support the strike, right?
Yeah.
So it's already to be known, like, where you're in solidarity with us, which is great.
Yeah, everyone's trying to hold it down. It's just that Britain is the ghetto. It is hell. I don't know how often you've been over here, but it is hell. So the reason I say that is because writers just across the industry were woefully underpaid. So over here, so you hear a lot about actors from Britain who move over to America because over here you're just not getting paid, and there are conversations happening online where people are like, I sold a script in the UK for £1,000. I moved to the US and I sell a script, it sells for 6 figures. So it just shows the disparity you see. So then suddenly when somebody's reaching out and going, hey, do you want to write? They're not considering, the difference. They're just like, it's just going to be way more than what I get over here.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can speak. Thank you so much for giving me that education in that, because I was not aware. And I'm so sorry that it's happening like that over there.
I'm laughing, but I'm crying inside.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, let me get my train of thought back. Let's see. Why not? Oh man, I had like an answer and then I started going off. Can you repeat the last thing that you said?
Yeah, so that's it. So they would ideally maybe get approached by people who are saying like, yeah, come over, because it's the money is just way more than what we would usually get anyway, even though it's way less than what you are all prepared to accept, because they're taking the piss.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Right. And so the best thing that like the way that we're looking at it by withholding our work is like closing up the pipeline, like drying it out. Right. So we do need, the UK writers to like stand with us and not provide them content. Right. Like how we talked about, like in a couple months, if this kept going, there would be no good content. And we need that to happen, because we need to force them back to the table. We're ready to negotiate a fair deal, but they'll never be ready if they're getting content from elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And that was, that was really it. I'm so thankful that you are all doing this, because we need it. I really believe in civil disobedience. I really believe in us getting together, our commonality to dissent against things that just aren't serving us. The power dynamics are just they're extremely skewed. Again, when you mentioned transparency earlier, like people are making billions, and then you're just asking like, fam, can you just take up our money a little bit? No, like what? What difference is it going to make? It's not going to make a difference to your billions. It's literally not going to make that much of a difference to your billions. So why won't you just do it? So I really, really love that this is happening. I keep seeing pictures of like South Asian writers and, different like denominations of the writing industry going, hey, we're not having it. We're all here together. That's beautiful.
It is. Yeah. And then you get to see like just how diverse the writer community is and has to be, right, to produce the type of content that connects with like the world.
Yes.
So it can't nobody do that but us.
And that is it. I don't think there's anything else to say apart from that. So thank you so much, John Terry. Like, I appreciate you. I hope that they come back to the table soon, because we need the good. We need the shows. We need the things to be back, but on fair terms, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Although we've come to the end of the pod, I still have one straw. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that convo with myself and John Terry. Isn't she a baby girl? Like, we proper laughed, even though it's like not funny what's happening at all. Like, this is major. This is major for the entertainment industry. But sometimes, what do we say? If you don't laugh, you will surely cry. So it is what it is, baby. But yeah, thank you, John Terry, for being on the show and for speaking with me. And I hope that we have many more conversations, happy conversations, good conversations of conversations of progress and all them things there. Let's get to Straw of the Week, aka Suck Your Mum. Yes. I only have one thing to say, and I'm going to try and say it without getting sued. Yeah, let's see if I can achieve that. But yeah, let's just see if that's possible for me. Let's see. So you would have seen news recently about Philip Schofield, who presented, is it This Morning, with Holly Willoughby, that they've fallen out and he is no longer on the show. That was interestingly announced, although he'll be presenting, from what I heard, he'll be still presenting certain bits for ITV. Regardless, ITV's a channel in the UK, in case you're listening, you're like, what? But by now I know that you know the lingo. So apparently he's still going to be presenting shows for them on ITV, just not This Morning. He's no longer on This Morning with Holly. There are TikTok videos about this if you really want to get into the things, but maybe not you wouldn't be able to get into it in Montana from the January the 1st. But
Do you think that's necessary?
letting you know, it got announced that Philip is no longer going to be on that show, and you know that him and Holly received a flogging when Elizabeth took the elevator down, and they had allegedly her body was in that box that people could go and queue for hours, maybe a day, to just look at the box and pray for her to somebody that she's not going to meet, basically. Yeah. Anyway, they got dragged because they skipped the queue. So from then, they weren't kind of like the nation's faves anymore. I mean, I guess Ant and Dec are like the nation's faves, whatever. But they just they weren't seen in good, they fell out of favour with the people then when that happened, when they skipped the queue. Fine. So he's not going to be on whatever. He's not going to be on This Morning anymore. Funny that it's announced the week that this also happens. It says here, the brother of TV presenter Philip Schofield has been jailed for 12 years for let me stop. Trigger warning. You might want to skip this whole bit completely. I'll catch you on the flip side if you don't want to hear this. That's fine. Trigger warning. Child abuse. Essay. All of that. The brother of TV presenters Philip Schofield has been jailed for 12 years for sexually abusing a boy. Timothy Schofield was found guilty in April of 11 sexual offences involving a child between 2016 and 2019. Following the verdict, the 54-year-old was sacked from his job as a civilian worker for Avon and Somerset Police. Philip Schofield said after the conviction, "As far as I'm concerned, I no longer have a brother." At Schofield's sentencing hearing at Bristol Crown Court on Friday, the victim said in a statement that he felt trapped in a loop of fear and anxiety. Passing sentence, Mrs. Justice Cutts said Schofield exploited his victim's innocence for his own sexual gratification. "It was wrong on every level for you to behave as you did," she said. "He felt forced to do what you wanted, trapped and unable to escape. He felt he couldn't tell anyone and did not do so for many years. You took away his ability to be the teenager he should have been, carefree, relaxed, happy. It's clear to me that you became utterly obsessed with him." She added, "I have not heard a single word of remorse from you, only self-pity." Schofield was convicted of 3 counts of causing a child to watch sexual activity and 3 of engaging in sexual activity in the presence of a child. He was further convicted of 3 counts of causing a child to engage in sexual activity. The victim was, he was further convicted of 3 counts of causing a child to engage in sexual activity and 2 of sexual activity with a child. The victim was interviewed by police after telling a school counsellor about the abuse. He said he felt he had been blackmailed emotionally by Schofield. The victim's statement continued, "Before Tim was arrested, I felt I had no freedom. I often felt panic, stress and fear. I felt like I was trapped in a loop of fear and anxiety of the abuse happening again. It was only after Tim was arrested that I felt safe. It was only after Tim was arrested that I felt free to be me, free to be happy, free to be relaxed. I feel more blunt. I feel more bitter. I feel numb to life. I know I should feel really happy or really sad, but I don't have the ability to emotionally react to what is happening." Schofield from Bath, Somerset, claimed during his trial at Exeter Crown Court that he had watched pornography with the boy, but that the boy was over the age of 16 at the time. He claimed the 2 of them had undertaken sexual acts while sitting apart, but denied performing the acts on the teen. In September 2021, the abuser, who was arrested 3 months later, told his famous brother about performing sex acts with the victim present. I need you to really listen to that, and I'm going to say it again. In September 2021, we are in 2023. In September 2021, the abuser, who was arrested 3 months later, told his famous brother about performing sex acts with the victim present. In a statement read during the trial, the This Morning presenter said he had invited his brother to visit him in London after receiving a call from him in an agitated and upset state. He said he and his brother had a meal together and discussed mental health treatment, but his brother had confessed to the incidents involving pornography. Mr. Schofield's statement said, "I turned and said, 'What did you just say?' He said it was last year and we were alone together." Tim said it was just this once. I told him it should never happen again. The presenter said his brother had then tried to give him more details about the incident. I said, fuck, stop. I shouted at Tim that he had to stop. I didn't want to know any of the details, but he made it sound like a one-off, Mr. Schofield said. I said, I don't want you to tell me any more. I said, you've got to stop. Just never do it again. Regardless how that happened, it must never happen again. That makes me really emotional because in light of like protecting the victim, all I'm saying is don't feel sorry for Phil, you know. Don't feel sorry for Phil. Don't feel sorry for Phil. Don't. There's so much that I want to say from the things that I've been sent by people I know who are in tight with him and know the ins and outs of this situation. You know what? I think to myself, as somebody who experienced sexual abuse as a child, like, imagine if somebody, like the childminder, right? It was her brother. And I think I've mentioned this before. I wonder if, like, when he told you, did you not go, like if rather, let's say if he had told her, I would have thought surely she'd be like, get out. You're never going to be around those kids again. Never, ever, ever. Like, never. You're never going to be around kids again. You're never going to be in my house again. That's what I would hope, right? I would hope that if somebody knew that somebody was doing something like this to a child, that they would be like, no, you can never be around children again. What do you mean? Let it be a one-off and let it be done. Choosing my words carefully going forward. Without putting the person who spoke up at further risk or revealing anything, all I'll say is, like, my straw is not just for Phil's brother. Like, it's for you as well, Phil. And people like you who are happy to stand by and just say nothing about things because did you choose to say nothing? Because if something was said, it would impact your career. And then also, we can't ignore the alleged relationship that you were having with a boy that you've known, or a young man, at a time that, you know, things were said and things transpired, that you've known from when he was 11. Something is not right. Like, there's something wrong with the water. Something is not right. The list continues to grow with these people in the entertainment industry and their proximity to other people, or just in this country at large. There's a weird network of child abusers. And it's blowing my mind. And mark this episode down, because one day, if I can flame Philip for the things that I allegedly, or that he's allegedly aware of, and who those things were done to, for you to make that statement, knowing who those things were being done to, I'm disgusted. Like, I'm actually disgusted. And fuck anybody. I don't give a fuck who you are. Fuck anybody that knows of a child being abused. Whether the child is removed from you, or, you know, not in close proximity to you, or a child that is in close proximity to you, that you do have a duty of care to, because of how you're linked to those children or that child, and you just go, oh well, as long it was as it was just the once, or whatever, never let it happen again. Bitch, what? Fuck all of you lot, man. The way that child abuse is being so normalized. That's why you'll never ever get me to shut up about Prince Andrew. You'll never ever get me to shut up about Tim Westwood. You'll never ever get me to shut up about any of them people. I will never ever ever shut up. Because I wish that somebody was as vocal about these things as when I experienced them. Because all of you cowardly motherfuckers that just stand by, or you see something happen, you know that somebody, and you know that somebody does something, you know that their family's complicit in kind of brushing it under the carpet, but you lot are happy to work for them. Or, oh, well, it's just this, it's just the monarchy, so I'm just going to go along. Or, oh, well, it's this and that. You've got an excuse all of the time that lets us know that you don't give a fuck about children. You really don't. Because if you did, like, people would go way more hard than they do currently. The energy just isn't there. There are some of you who are still crying over R. Kelly. You fucking idiots. Pricks. Pricks, all of you. Fucking pricks. Because I feel like you fail to understand, like, when these things happen, it robs people of their entire life. Their entire life. And then they have to start putting it back together. But life never looks the same as what they perceive it looks like for other people. It just doesn't. Like, when people praise me or they see me and they're like, oh, Kelechi, you're so funny, you're so strong, you speak out about this, you speak out about that. I have to. It's a case of survival. I have to speak because nobody else was speaking around me. I have to speak. And why aren't you speaking is the question. So, you know, fuck her Timothy or whatever the fuck your name is, and fuck her Phil. Like, fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. Like, I'm not feeling sorry for anybody. And ITV and all of you lot that know certain things, all of these, whatever channel you might be, whatever broadcaster you might be, or whatever platform you might be, when you know of something that is very wayward that's happening, and then you don't nip that in the bud and you don't get the people out of there when you need to get them out of there, and instead you start shifting people around like chess pieces, you are also part of the problem. I don't care what that means for me in the long term going forward with the things that I do. I've given up the ability, the desire to care. I know in my heart of hearts that what I'm saying is what needs to be said. So if that means that I don't get to do certain things and I don't get to do certain projects, or I can't be in certain places, fine, because I don't want to be around pedos anyway, and I don't want to be around pedo protectors anyway. So fuck all of you lot. Disgusting behavior all around, and it will never ever be well with you. Never, ever. That's all I've got to say. Whew. Well, that's that, I guess, for this week's episode. Yeah. Follow me wherever you know to follow me. That's Kalechnikov or at Say Your Mind Pod. The wonderful people I've had on, definitely holler at them, support them, share your views. Always welcome. I told you what I needed to tell you about pre-ordering the book and getting your tickets to the live show at the Barbican. Don't let me repeat myself. Yeah, and I think that's it. Yeah. I think that's that. Well, I've been Kelechi Okafor, and this has been SYM, officially known as Say Your Mind, unofficially known as What? That's right, Phil and all of the people them, suck your mum. That's that. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
It's the Benz Brunani womanist, baby boys, baby girls, you need to hear this. If you sit down, receive this realness. Make sure your cup's ready for the tea, we are go sip it, yo. Hard time scrolling for your long shorts. You might learn something you never know. Collect you fine, and she's one of a kind. Don't say your mind, say your mind.